I feel like definitely when it comes to using ChatGPT, I always reach for ChatGPT now before I go to Google to ask something. It's just become the new normal for me.
Welcome to Work Hackers. Today I have Kristen Siciliano, Owais Yusuf, and myself, Chris Hellman, talking to you guys about AI and how it's used in the business today, as well as how we've used it in our own personal careers, and then how it's being adopted within search engines, as well as in social media platforms. Welcome, Al, and thanks, Kristen and Owais, for joining me today. AI is still in development. I mean, I think it goes back to you need to know what your business objective is. Like, what are you actually trying to solve? Because in the end, yes, you can have any AI models. You can have an AI built in a layer on top of whatever, tools that you're using or operations. But fundamentally, if you don't know what you're actually trying to solve, it's just as useless as any other tool that's out there. And I think that's one of the big pieces that a lot of companies are still just trying to figure out, like, where does AI actually fill the gap? And that, like, where, where does it actually bring value? And I, as I said, I like to go in with, okay, well, what are the problems you're trying to solve? Okay, now let's identify those problems first and then go in reverse and say, okay, what are the technologies that are there readily available for us? If it is ChatGPT or is it OpenAI, if it is Copilot, look at it from that perspective and then say, okay, how does that fit in with the overall process to streamline it, to improve it, or to find insights? Because I think when you go from that perspective, then you have a purpose to bringing in AI or to building in AI into your operations versus trying to just say, oh, well, we need AI because that's what everyone else is doing. So, I mean, I think there's that aspect of, um, that trust in AI and how, again, it is a tool and it has to be like, we have to actually take our time to actually think through, how it should be built, how it should be implemented in any organization.
Just the use case, if you have that from the get-go of which part of the process of your business do you need to improve on, identify that first, and then think about where efficiencies can be created in processes that are very repetitive, identifying those, and then building a process using AI around that to sort of make those processes efficient. If it's just regular everyday business processes of creating, like people are using AI for building PowerPoint decks, right? That's a great use case. You don't have to waste time on your pitch decks anymore now because there's tools out there to build those for you using your CRM data and then implementing it based on your customers so they can make very specific, amazing sales
Yep.
outreach, AI there as well in terms of LinkedIn outreach, sales outreach, advertising, automatically recognizing where efficiencies can be gotten based on the parameters that you already put there that I want 20% tacos, 10% tacos, and then the AI pauses everything else, tests something out, moves on to the next test case, making it more efficient every time.
Yep. Kristen, what I'd love to hear is how you've been sort of incorporating AI or any AI tools into your marketing process from a social media perspective, because I think that would be great to hear how at least even your overall career, you've changed from when you
For
started your
sure.
career to now.
Yeah, I feel like at first AI was really scary to a lot of people, especially in the social media space, on just being like, oh, somebody just wrote this with AI. Nobody put any thought into it. And then that's just that. Like a lot of people don't want to trust AI. What I feel like when it comes to marketing and things like that, especially like images generated, things like that. But I don't know. I really feel like it's a great tool to use as a marketer to help you get there, to use as a strategy, not as like point putting in prompt, write me this, and then I'm copy and pasting it and putting it on link. I think it's still important to do the work and make sure that you teach your AI what you want, what kind of an output you want, and like working towards getting the output that you want. Um, but I truly feel like it is super helpful if you're using it the right way. And then it's more trustworthy for your audience too. You can immediately tell when somebody is just copy and pasting and posting to LinkedIn or just straight up posting. I know on Instagram a lot too. A lot of people get angry if you post AI art. But I think it's a matter of just being truthful behind what you're posting, not trying to deceive your audience either and act like it's not AI if it is an image that you're putting out. Um, there's so many different routes I feel like that you can go with it. I also feel like AI has made video a lot easier, creating videos for your business through LinkedIn and just
Yep.
through Instagram as well. That's helped a lot. It's definitely a great tool. Being a journalism major back in college and having that background knowledge myself of how you should be prompting anything, a post, an ebook, a white paper, anything, and then just using AI to honestly benefit that and help you strategize. I really think that's just been my
I,
favorite way of using it.
yeah, you had a good point there where you said building the
Yeah.
trust. So it's again, I mean, I think we're going back to that
Yeah.
circle of trust. And I think it's interesting when you said, okay, it's not to say you can't use an AI generated image,
Mhm.
but it's the intent.
Exactly.
It's sort of putting that intent behind it, that of why you're using it. And even to this point of letting I think right now when we see some AI generated image, it's still so
Yeah.
clunky that we sort of know it's AI. And I mean, obviously it's getting way, way, way better, which is now going to lead to that next question is like us asking what's real and what's not real when it comes to some of this images that are coming out. But I think to this point of being able to leverage or leverage AI, but then building the trust that, okay, you're doing it with good intentions, with the intentions of providing some a value or an entertaining value to your end user or valid information. I think those are key points that I think is important
Yeah.
that you called out
I
on.
also feel
Yeah.
like it's a really good tool just for smaller teams. I feel like a lot of the time too, they're in a
Yeah.
smaller marketing team and it's really helped with putting out a lot more output than one person or two people can altogether. I think that it's been also great for smaller teams. I've worked on a lot of smaller teams, so it's definitely helped boost that output while still getting the same result, or if not better, honestly.
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. I think that's a key factor, small teams. And I think Ois, you can jump in from the analytical side. The same sort of goes where you used to be very heavy on building out all those analytical algorithms on your own. Now you sort of replace that whole flow with AI tools. And I'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah, a recent one that's been super useful for me has been Clay, just which is basically a tool that sort of stitches things together. So data sets, basically using data sets, but then using APIs from ChatGPT to sort of utilize that data set. So let's say if it's just like a bunch of companies and you don't know if they're uh, right for you in terms of outreach or in terms of just having some sort of a discussion with, then using the AI in the next column and utilizing the data around the company that has been scraped from LinkedIn or somewhere else or on their website even, and then asking the AI that, hey, this is my business model, and please analyze based on this description if it sort of fulfills X, Y, or Z use cases where I can help with. So then when you have that one column sort of generating why and how that can be helpful, you're using another column using ChatGPT there to sort of then utilizing the information from the results column to incorporate different products you might have or different solutions that you're offering. And based on the news data that you might have picked up from somewhere, uh, scraping that out and then merging the two things together. All of this used to take hours and hours worth of time of people and salespeople just trying to look into each individual's LinkedIn, understanding if they're a right fit or not based on the recent news that they've been seeing, whether we might be a good partner to them or not. Um, it's just all of that manual effort now is just slowly ebbing away with the help of AI. Of course, you do need operators behind that AI to sort of give it those tasks and make sure AI is prone to error still. It's getting better every day. As new models come out, they're getting better and better. But yeah, just utilizing it. So that's why really understanding what the hardest part of your process is and how, and the most revenue generating part, biggest bang for the buck, the highest ROI thing, honing in on that, making that the subject, and then coming to people going out into the world to try to figure out how you can sort of make it efficient through the use of AI. And you'll come up with so many applications. I just make like a Google sheet of all the things I can do with something and just start
Yep.
assessing it that way. And yeah, so I mean, using AI has definitely changed in how people work and how they approach, and things are becoming more and more customized. And it doesn't even feel like AI because you're really not utilizing AI to build up whatever's necessary to get the job done and come up with all sorts of language that would not make sense to anyone that it would come across to, but rather being more intent focused, as you said, Kristen, more
Yep.
intentional, and bringing that into play and giving it more specific directions. That's where AI is useful for. I think a lot of people confuse it with, oh, that's just AI generate. Oh, this is just AI. AI has, if we just think of how AI can help improve us or make us faster versus trying to do work for us, I don't think it's there yet to do work for us, but it can help us make the work do faster. So breaking down
Yeah.
your process into individual pieces and then assigning a understanding of how you can use AI to make those processes faster.
I think this is a nice transition for like as we're talking about the process of our like us being more efficient in our work, in our own personal processes. And again, allowing smaller teams, which by the way, there's a good chance to your point, especially on the marketing side, there's a really good chance that uh, to be able to hire 2 or 3 more people is just not going to be a factor. But the business is asking you to move faster and faster. And so going into like the next topic of around like how we were talking about this before around how to leverage the right prompting, how we used to sort of leverage a lot of that prompting to get the right results that actually have a meaningful output up through AIs, through the use of AI. Uh, went back to how we used to Google search, and being the masters of Google search, I think is the best way of talking about it. And I'll start with, when I was way back learning how to code, I like to use this as my example. I mean, it was I would have a problem that I was trying to figure out in terms of a line of code, whether it was front end JavaScript, and I knew the output. I knew what I was trying to accomplish from the end user experience. And I remember when I would do a search, and the more generic that search was, the less accurate results I got on Google. And so what I had to learn personally was to continue to mold, to get more detailed, to get more specific on certain keywords that really helped identify where that right source of data existed with inside Google. Now, in what I that lesson of really trying to find the right search has translated into ChatGPT, or any chat AI tool that we're using today, where we're putting these prompts. And the idea is you got to be very specific. And the more specific, it's more around, okay, let's grab this massive amount of data because you were specific. it generates a solution, and then you look through that solution and say, okay, what makes sense, what doesn't make sense, what's the right, what do I feel confident in taking and moving forward versus what I don't feel which I, or more or less based on my own personal experience, what I know is not to be right or not accurate enough or too generic enough, where it's not something I feel comfortable moving forward with. And so that's sort of how I've gone about searching, but I'd love to hear, Kristen, and your sort of how you've, taken your past experience of Google search and applied it.
For sure. No, I was gonna say too, I feel like definitely when it comes to using ChatGPT, I always reach for ChatGPT now before I go to Google to ask something. It's just become the new normal for me. And I love to like ask it questions back and be like, where did you pull this information from? What's your source? Like, I love to just ask it what its source is. Like, especially if something kind of seems a little off, I'll say, where'd you get this from? How'd you find that? And sometimes it will come back and be like, you're right. I did just make that up. Let me find you a real source. So I think prompting it really comes down to just getting to the root of it. Exactly. Like asking those questions. Like I feel like at least for me, sometimes when I used to Google things, I would kind of like search and search and search pages until I found an answer I was looking for. And I feel like it's almost the same thing when it comes to prompting ChatGPT. You're just talking to it until you get a response that you trust and that you understand and that you feel is credible enough to move forward with. And also on this, I know it's not ChatGPT, but I've also found that I also use social media platforms to do a lot of searching. I really don't reach for Google anymore, like at all. I'll reach for ChatGPT and TikTok or Instagram because I also like to see a visual. I like to see somebody else doing what I'm trying to find or like a visual of what I'm looking for. And that's just me personally, but that's what I like to use.
Well, I think actually that's a great point, Kristen, because I think even if you would take it from a like a business
Yeah.
perspective for anyone who's selling for
Hmm.
B2C, I think that's really key in terms of understanding how people are now searching and trying to find their
Yeah.
information. And we know that the social media platforms are all implementing their own AI solution within their platforms, which again, I think it's all around how it gets like you as an end user are finding the information that you need that you're
Yeah.
looking for and being able to feel confident behind the output. Yeah, I will be, I've only recently gotten on TikTok and and obviously would love to hear a little bit more about Instagram, YouTube, all those other social media platforms been on uh but yeah, of late TikTok. Have you seen a specific, like when you're searching on TikTok, what are some of the use cases that you're searching
Ooh,
for?
that's a good question. I would say this is personal preference. I would say actually also maybe for businesses, just being like a shopper on my end. If I'm looking for a specific outfit, I like to look up an
Yep.
outfit or a specific, say, beauty product. I want to see how people are wearing it, how people are using it. I think that that's for me what I enjoy seeing versus just like if I were to Google the product and like the product description itself. I like to see other people using it. And also I feel like also like recipes, things like that. Like I'm just a visual learner. And I also like maybe businesses
Mhm.
can also take from this, maybe putting more visuals on their own websites, things like that, or their own like platforms, whatever
Yep.
they're using. I don't know. That's just my personal
Mhm.
preference. But seeing how products are used, I think that's mainly what I'm looking up.
I see Owais is about to jump in. He's the Amazon
Yeah.
king, and so I think there's some from the back end perspective. I'd love to hear your perspective of this, Owais.
Yeah, no, I think you're right into pointing out. I agree with you. It's like that was a really good analogy of Chris to sort of say that, how you used to be very specific about, Google, and we learned putting quotation marks around certain words, then makes sure that the search matches are exactly including those words. Then having the and in the middle, make sure that both the words are in there, or the or function, right? We got better and better in terms of Google search, and now it's just a journey towards getting better and better in your chat GPT searches and make sure the answers are right and are, as you suggested, Kristen, having that, backed up data as well as the where did it pull it from, making sure that it's the right one or not. And yeah, so with the landscape of just, and then as we transition into the whole how other platforms are being used, I think lately what I've been hearing a lot is on the ad side of things and on just the search side of things, that TikTok is your now a big part of your is a search engine. Amazon is a search engine. Google is a search engine, right? And then now TikTok is really taking up a lot of market share. People are looking, as you suggested, Kristen, products of fashion, etc. People are looking up restaurants. People are even looking up what the traffic looks like. And somebody might have shot what the Chicago traffic looked like today, because somebody sent me something. Oh, there's like a big traffic jam at this and that. And I'm like, well, how do you know this? She's like, oh, I saw it on TikTok. I'm like, what do you even search to get your traffic conditions? I didn't even know people are posting. So that's insane, right? I mean, it is becoming, all of these places are becoming for their own sort of niches. They're expanding into becoming more and more of a search engine because people are always posting and sharing their experiences. So with as I spoke to somebody today actually, and they said the same thing. You should think of it like a top of funnel. Like people are actually searching for products there. So people who are in the business of that, as Chris was saying, B2C, um, uh, they're usually searching for those brands, and then once they like something, let's say they like the restaurant, or they might like a product, then they will go to uh, the I forget the eating app, but to make the booking for the restaurant after they've seen some of the dishes there on
Oh, Open
TikTok.
Table.
Open Table, right? They'll
Yep.
go to Amazon to then search the brand name once they've actually seen a video of the brand name on TikTok. And you see that directional traffic coming from outside. And yeah, I think you're right. Like it's lately becoming, and I think I should be using more and more of it as well.
Well, I mean, when you go back to like the LLMs that are being built, all the AI agents. I mean, again, that neural net of data and the data points that connect, one, to this point of the traffic. What is it that's geolocation? So geolocation, identifying that you are in a certain region, and that, by the way, this data point is meaningful to you. So I think there's a level where, what is exciting, and I think the exciting side of AI is that it's not just a single funnel in many ways. We as businesses want the funnel because we need to have the conversion, and we want the conversion to sell a product or service. But where I think from a like that where I think from a consumer perspective or an end user perspective, it's the nice moments like that. Oh, I just so happen to be in this area. There's traffic. Now this app has value to me. And I think, it's trying to find that balance of really, but, to that next level, it's more personal data that's being shared with the apps to understand who you are as a human being. And again, that's where, we're going. And this is a whole nother topic around privacy. But but on the experience side, the convenience side, the more we build in those relationships of those data points, the better end user. And then again, if you can then associate your business with those connections, and that's what we're all trying to work towards, is being in the right spot in the right moment with the right person, because that is then increases the chance of an action being taken that's related to your business or your image or your brand, or whatever your objectives are, with leveraging all these LLMs and these AI agents. And so yeah, it's one of those things that I always find as an exciting way forward. And obviously there's all the flags that everyone else has brought up around, privacy and all those other concerns, but that's a whole nother podcast that we can go down on the next show. Appreciate everyone for joining us today on Work Hackers. Please remember to like and subscribe if you want more content.